The steady, reassuring hum of a Boeing 777's engines usually meant peace of mind, a promise of new beginnings, reunions, and million-dollar deals. But for one man sitting in business class, it was unknowingly the sound of his own destruction counting down. He thought his ticket bought him comfort, control, and the right to look down on others. What unfolded on Transamerican Flight 227 would prove otherwise. It wasn't just a disagreement. It was the moment that erased his entire world before the plane even left the ground. Boarding was its usual chaos. Rolling suitcases and rustling jackets funneling through the jet bridge. In the calm of business class, Dr. Imani Thompson had already settled into 8A, the window seat. A leading cardiothoracic surgeon at 42, she was headed to San Francisco to deliver a keynote at a major medical conference. She opened the New England Journal of Medicine on her lap, savoring a few quiet hours to prepare. The aisle seat beside her, 8B, was claimed by Arthur Jensen, a man in his late 50s. Silver hair, perfectly styled. Tailored suit stretched across his midsection. A watch flashing under the cabin light. She radiated entitlement. He shoved his leather briefcase overhead with a grunt, then froze. His eyes landed on the black woman seated by the window. His lip curled in a faint sneer. He didn't greet her, didn't acknowledge her, just looked as if she were misplaced luggage. Imani felt it instantly. That subtle shift in air she'd known 1,000 times boardrooms, mixers, even her own hospital halls. The silent questioning of her presence. The unspoken belief that she didn't belong. She kept calm, eyes on her journal. But Jensen wasn't done. He flagged down Sarah, a young flight attendant, and with a low, commanding voice said, "There's been a mistake with my seating." He gestured vaguely toward the window. Sarah checked his boarding pass. "You're an 8B." "Sir." "That's correct." Jensen's voice dropped, conspiratorial but loud enough for nearby passengers. "The seat's fine. The issue is the occupancy. I paid a lot for this ticket. I expect a certain level of comfort. Move me." The cabin quieted. Passengers glanced over, sensing the ugliness underneath his words. Sarah's professional smile faltered. "Sir, the flight is full. There are no other business class seats." Jensen pushed harder. "Then put me in first class." Sarah shook her head. "First class is full as well." His gaze swept the cabin like a king demanding volunteers. "I'm sure someone will switch," he said. No one moved. A man in 7C, Ben Carter, a young tech entrepreneur, pulled down his headphones. He watched, frowning. Jensen's chest puffed out. "Young lady," he told Sarah, dripping with condescension. "My company spends over $1 million a year with this airline. I'm executive platinum. I will not sit here for 6 hours." The last words carried an ugly weight. Everyone knew what he meant. At that, Dr. Thompson snapped her journal shut. The sound cracked the silence. She turned, steady and calm. "Is there a problem?" For the first time, Jensen had to look her in the eye. He stammered, flushed red. "This has nothing to do with you. It's about my comfort." "It seems my presence is your discomfort," she said evenly. "I will not be moved. I will not accommodate your prejudice. You'll have to deal with it." The cabin was frozen. Sarah, recognizing this was beyond her, called for the captain. Jensen smirked. He thought authority would side with him. 5 minutes later, Captain David Harris arrived, silver at the temples, for stripes on his shoulders, a calm authority built over decades in the sky. "What's the problem?" he asked. Sarah explained. Jensen seized the moment. "I demand to be moved. I won't sit next to her." The word "her" dripped with disdain. Gasps rippled through the cabin. Ben Carter discreetly hit record on his phone. Captain Harris didn't raise his voice. "Sir, we have a code of conduct. On this plane, every passenger is treated with dignity and respect." Dr. Thompson is in her assigned seat. You are refusing yours, delaying this flight, and disturbing over 300 others. You have two choices: sit down, apologize, and remain quiet, or gather your bag, and I escort you off my aircraft. Jensen sputtered. Do you know who I am? I'll have your job. The captain's voice turned to ice. The only name that matters on this plane is mine. Captain Harris, your behavior is a threat. You are no longer a passenger on this flight. With that, Jensen was escorted off in a humiliating walk of shame. Passengers broke into applause firm. Rolling, unified, Harris gave Dr. Thompson a respectful nod, and the heavy door sealed behind them. Flight 227 lifted off 20 minutes late, but lighter in more ways than one. Midair, Captain Harris addressed the cabin. Ladies and gentlemen, we had to deplane a passenger for failing to comply with instructions. Trans-American Airways has zero tolerance for harassment of any kind. The safety, comfort, and dignity of all passengers are our top priority. His words landed with clarity. Dignity was non-negotiable. Meanwhile, Jensen's unraveling had just begun. Banned from the airline, stranded at JFK, he scrambled for a red-eye on another carrier's time economy. Wedged into a middle seat, his fury simmered. But unknown to him, Ben Carter's audio was already in the hands of a news editor. The story hit the internet like jet fuel. By the time his plane crossed Nebraska, racist passenger kicked off Flight 227 was a #1 trending topic. The audio clip his sneers, his prejudice, the captain's firm stand, and the applause was everywhere. Memes exploded. His company's Yelp and LinkedIn pages were torched with scathing reviews. And worst of all, he had shouted his full name on the flight. Within hours, his face and firm were plastered across headlines. The $50 million deal he was flying for? Canceled. Vance Innovations, a progressive Silicon Valley giant, cut ties instantly. Their CEO, Eleanor Vance, declared she would never work with him. Instead, she reached out to Dr. Thompson. The woman Jensen deemed unworthy was now offered a partnership that would accelerate her surgical innovations by a decade. The very opportunity Jensen had chased was placed in her hands. While Jensen spiraled divorce, bankruptcy, obscurity, Dr. Thompson soared. Her partnership birthed the Thompson-Vance procedure, a groundbreaking robotic technique saving lives across the globe. Captain Harris was honored as a symbol of the airline's values. Ben Carter launched a journalism startup with his payout. And Arthur Jensen, he became a ghost, a cautionary tale, a meme, a name muttered in diners as the man who threw away everything over 6 hours of hate. In the end, karma wasn't mystical. It was the natural consequence of choices. He chose prejudice. She chose dignity. The world responded accordingly. If this story resonates with you, if you believe in standing up for what's right, even when it's uncomfortable, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that remind us character is everything.